Do you look in the mirror and feel disappointed or even ashamed of what you see? Maybe you avoid taking your shirt off at the beach or in the gym changing rooms because you're not confident in your body. Tight clothes make you uncomfortable, and the only time you feel bold enough to speak up in social situations or to a woman on a night out is after you've had a few drinks. If so, rewind back to 2018 and this was the exact position I found myself in. I used to avoid putting myself out there or speaking to women. I didn't have the confidence I needed to take the next steps in my career. I lived in baggy clothes to hide my man boobs, and I was truly fed up with how I looked. However, since then, I've been able to completely transform my physique and my life, take part in 2 professional photo shoots, wear whatever I want confidently, meet my partner and start a family and grow my own business. In this video, I'm going to share with you the exact 3-step framework that I've used for myself and for my clients that you can easily apply too. And make sure that you stick around to the end of this video because the approach I'm going to share with you on diet completely changed my life. Making this mistake can literally be the difference between smashing your end goal or staying in the same cycle that you have been in for years. Framework number 1, having the correct training plan in place. From my own personal experience and also just from seeing what a lot of guys do when they're in the gym, I know firsthand that a lot of people do not have the structure in place with their workouts to see the results they want. There are generally 2 things that hold most people back from seeing physical changes, and they are 1, not following an appropriate training split, and 2, not working to a high enough intensity. The good news is if you fix both of these things, you can see massively improved results from your training. When it comes to your workout split, a lot of guys tend to go for a body part specific plan. For example, chest on Mondays, shoulders on Tuesday, back on Thursday, legs on Friday, and so on. Or they'll go for a split such as push, pull, and legs. The problem with both these splits is that unless you're at an incredibly advanced stage of your training, perhaps you're competing or taking steroids, 99.9% of people watching this video will benefit from more volume than both of these styles of split offer. Instead, I'm going to recommend that you follow one of 2 different training splits that will ensure you're training each muscle frequently enough each week to elicit the hypertrophy response that's going to lead to you seeing the physical changes to the way that your body looks. Those 2 splits are a full body split where, for example, you would be training every other day, or an upper lower split where you would train 4 times a week. For example, upper body on a Monday, legs on a Tuesday, upper body on a Thursday, and legs again on Friday. When it comes to the sets and reps and the best exercises to see the changes that you want, which is massively important, I've created a free body recomposition workout guide which shows you exactly how you can structure either of these splits alongside a list of my recommended exercises that you can match to the equipment you have available with video demonstrations. Head to the link in the description and you can download that for free now. Framework number 2 for creating an aesthetic physique is accountability. Ultimately, you can have the best training and diet plan in the world, but if you don't stick with it, then that's really not going to mean much. A lot of my clients who want to improve the way they look, and myself included here, come from a background where they do struggle with accountability and motivation. With that in mind, what's really important here is that the plan that you put in place is something you can actually realistically stick with. It aligns with your schedule and any commitments that you've got. You can have the best will in the world to go to the gym 5 times a week, but if you've got a crazy busy job, a family, in young children and everything else going on, that's just not going to be practical, and soon enough you'll feel like you're failing and end up throwing in the towel. You would be far better off taking in the framework and structures I'm giving you in this video and looking how you can apply and align this to your own life, than looking at what other people who are perhaps in a completely different situation to you are doing. The other big bit of advice I give you is to not aim to push for perfection. You might tell yourself that I'm an all or nothing type of person, but the chances are that mindset is the same thing stopping you from building an aesthetic physique. Unless you've got all the time in the world, no friends, no family, no birthdays, weddings, or work events to ever attend, then chances are you're going to face situations where being 100% on track is just not possible. And if you can take the view that instead of aiming for perfection, you'll always aim to give it your best every week, you will be far more likely to build the body that you truly want. Moving on to framework number 3, and that is, of course, diet. When you have a goal of seeing physical changes, it really cannot be underestimated how important it is that your diet is aligned with the body you want and your training in the gym. Eat too much and you risk gaining fat and not seeing any changes, and eat too little and this can also be detrimental to your physique as you risk losing muscle and struggling with poor performance in your workouts. It's therefore really important that your diet and your calorie intake matches your goal correctly. Assuming that you're in a position now where you have body fat to lose, then you need to make sure that you are in a calorie deficit where you're actively burning more calories each day than what you're taking in. There really is no way around this. If there's fat on your physique, it doesn't matter how much you weigh or what you've done in the past, you need to get yourself into a deficit if you want to be able to get shredded and see muscle definition. Once you've got to a stage where you are very lean, you can see your abs without tensing, in my opinion, this is when you can consider going into a gaining phase to try and put on weight. However, doing so beforehand will likely lead to unsustainable levels of body fat and a smaller amount of muscle added than if you'd done a cut first. So if you're thinking about whether you need to diet down or bulk up, this should give you your answer to that question. In terms of how to structure your diet, we want to be focusing on a high protein intake, somewhere between 2 to 2.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. There are a lot of calorie calculator websites you can use to give you a rough indication of what a deficit should be for you, but when it comes to working this out, it really does come down to trial and error. For the first 3 to 4 weeks, you should be tracking all of your food using an app like or similar to MyFitnessPal, so you can build greater awareness around your calorie and macronutrient consumption. Something people get completely wrong that can ruin your entire diet and long-term progress is food choices. Making this mistake can literally be the difference between smashing your end goal or staying in the same cycle that you have been in for years. For years, I was a yo-yo dieter simply because every time I attempted to make a change, I completely overhauled my entire diet, changed every single meal, and cut calories drastically. With hindsight, it was no surprise that I'd end up giving up, sometimes after only a few days, because I was trying to change way too much, way too soon, and it just led to being overwhelmed. Most people aren't coming from a starting point where they're ordering takeout 3 to 4 times per week, so instead of changing all of your meals that you know work for you and you enjoy them, instead I want you to look at how you can adapt those meals to make them more aligned with your physique goals. That might mean looking at your portion sizes, adding in a protein source, or bulking the meals out with veg. But if you can keep it simple, it will be far easier for you to stick with. I'm not saying that you're not going to need to come up with any new recipes, but you'd be far better off starting with what you know and then slowly building on that from there. Like I said earlier in this video, I could give you the most optimal diet plan that in theory would lead to faster changes, but if you can't stick with that plan, or it just leads to you putting the weight back on after your cut, That is not an effective long-term strategy, and I'd highly recommend you avoid anything that you feel like is going to be a quick fix. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and if after watching this you feel like you would benefit from one-to-one guidance on how to create a plan that works specifically for you to get you to your end goal in the most appropriate time frame, head to the description, click the link to apply for one-to-one coaching, fill out the form, and I'll be in touch. I'll see you in the next video.